For parents and high school coaches on tonight's call who might not be familiar with the transfer portal and how this is changing recruiting, let's unpack that a little further, and then we'll come to questions shortly here.
Well, there's three things, Mono, that have changed the recruiting landscape. One is the NIL, which is this where players can get paid in different ways. That's one thing that's changed. But honestly, that's only probably changed at the highest level, like Power 5 schools. You know, that is significant there.
And that's the name, image, likeness, NIL, that players can now start to get paid in different fashions.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's changed. A small percentage. I wouldn't say crazy, but it's changed it for the highest level of basketball. The second thing that changed everything is COVID. When players ended up getting an extra year and it threw a class behind, and it's backed things up, and players have stayed longer and they have less scholarships to go around. And then that contributed probably even directly, and society has contributed as to where the transfer portal has done nothing but grow in leaps and bounds every single year, because we're living in a time where most players are changing high schools every couple of years. They're changing AAU teams, sometimes within the same season. If they're not happy, they're moving and going to the next thing. And so players are leaving at a really, really crazy rate. And to be honest with you, I don't know, we as college coaches know exactly what to make of it, because it's a sort of a double-edged sword. Everyone's looking in the transfer portal for players that have gone and done something and proven themselves somewhere else. And there's a ton of players in our league that have gone from Division II to Division I. We were fortunate. We had an All-American, one of the best players in Division II, who's going to be a pro basketball player, who decided to actually stay. But most players aren't doing that when they're that good. He could have gone to a major school, but he decided to stay. He just out of loyalty or whatever it might be, like that's why he decided to stay. But then the wrinkle that throws in it too for us is many coaches are scared now to sign high school players, because let's say they come to my school and they're not good enough, and we really improve them over a year or two. Right when they get good enough to help us, then they're going to transfer out. So then a lot of coaches are saying, well, why don't I just get them after their transfer rather than get them on the front end? Because most of the time when you go to college, your first year is really hard. Not a lot of freshmen have a ton of success. And so it's hard, and you go through growing pains, and you went from playing every minute of the game to maybe not getting but a couple of minutes. And so then next year you kind of get your feet under you, you start playing, you have a good year, and then you're like, all right, now I'm out. So coaches are thinking, man, we just invested 2 years and now they're out of here. So now coaches are asking, is it even worth it? Maybe we should just get them on the rebound. And everybody's sorting through it a different way. If I could tell you what we're doing, but that wouldn't matter, because there's a lot of coaches doing it a lot of different ways. But everybody's a little bit confused, and there's probably more better high school players sitting out right now in the 2022 class, and this will happen in 23 and 24, than there has ever been in my history of 21 years of coaching college basketball. I've never seen this many good high school players sitting out there on almost June 1, waiting for this next year's class. And so it is definitely a different landscape.